now, we've all heard at least a little something about the Maleah Davis case. She was a 4-year-old toddler who was reported missing on Saturday, May 4th, 2019 in the Houston, Texas area. The report was made by Derion Davis, the boyfriend of Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens. Derion's story of how Maleah went missing was so outlandish, I don't even have the energy to go through it ever again. For 30 whole days, the entire world watched as locals, authorities, and Texas EquuSearch volunteers searched for baby girl. In the meantime, Derion sat in a Harris County jail in Houston. He was booked on May 11th, just 5 days after making the outrageous claims that led to Maleah being formally reported missing. Derion was charged with tampering with evidence, specifically a human corpse. His bail is currently set at $45,000. Soon after the case made the news, the media set its attention on the mother, Brittany Bowens. But it wasn't Brittany who kept us quote-unquote informed about the missing child case. It was the activist/representative who was always standing next to her during press conferences and media appearances. The people of Houston knew exactly who he was, and most had very little love for him. However, the rest of us, the outsiders, we were charmed by him and praised his efforts to find and seek justice for Maleah Davis. His name is Quanell X. He was contacted by Brittany's sister, Natasha, who thought the well-known activist could help bring attention to the case. She desperately wanted his help finding her niece, Maleah. Locals from Houston continue making claims that this man is a scam artist who can't be trusted in press conferences and all over the internet. Many of us outsiders read and saw these reports, but we ignored them simply because we wanted Maleah found so badly. Eventually, certain things started to catch my attention about Quanell X that made me start side-eyeing the self-proclaimed activist myself. It all began with that first press conference I saw featuring Brittany. She stood in the parking lot of what looked like an apartment complex with Quanell standing to her left. Every question the media asked the mother of the missing 4-year-old, Quanell answered for her. Brittany Bowens never spoke. Instead, she spent 5 minutes covering her eyes as if she were crying. KHOU11 zoomed the camera in really close to Brittany's face. There were no tears. Check it out.
There is a video camera at the top of the stairwell that a neighbor owns. Police were able to recover the footage of that video. In that video, it shows the stepdad after mother had left the city. It shows the stepdad coming out while walking back into the apartment complex with a big bottle of Clorox that he had just bought. Then it shows him coming out with a bottle of Clorox, a big laundry bag, and a black garbage bag stuffed inside the laundry container that he was carrying out of the home. It was strange when he told the mother he was cleaning the house with Clorox, for there was no reason for him to be cleaning the house with Clorox. They already had a small thing of Clorox in the house, but he felt it was necessary to clean the house with Clorox. We know for a fact that police did take forensic evidence out of the apartment that indicates a crime took place inside that apartment.
Do you know the nature of that evidence?
I know that they tested for blood samples, human tissue samples. We also have a container inside the apartment that they left where they were testing for blood and luminol in the place. And it is true that they did find physical evidence. Also, let me be clear. We believe what started this was when the mother discovered him sending pictures of his private parts to another man. He was sending pictures of his penis to another man. The mother confronted him about it. He got angry. She wouldn't talk to him anymore when she left that day to go to Massachusetts. The mother told him that she was not going to return his ring, and that she was returning his ring. She didn't want to marry him. The mother informed him it was over, and he subsequently said some very disturbing things via text messages that the mother needs to share with law enforcement. And also, once again, the mother did confront him about physically whooping young Maleah when she was sick.
How was Maleah initially injured? Where she's wearing that helmet? Was
I
that at
can't,
the...
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Can Mom?
But we'll get to that. Mom needs to talk more with detectives, okay?
But
But
why?
let me finish. And I'll take your questions. But there is issues of him physically abusing Maleah that the mom should have revealed to detectives. That at the point in time, for whatever the reason may be, she did not. But we need Mom to do the right thing and tell everything she knows. And we need the truth about what happened to young Maleah to come out. And I do believe that she is the victim of foul play by the hands of the stepfather, with everything that was shared with me by the mother, and also the videotape upstairs that I'll show you after we're done.
What if you guys had, if she had an argument, why leave Maleah with him and go to the airport?
Can't speak to that right now.
Have any idea where he may be?
We believe that he's receiving family help and he's on the run. We believe he's receiving family help and that he's on the run.
Ma'am, I know you're hurting and you're grieving
She's
right
not
now.
going to say anything.
But we're trying to understand
She's not
why
gonna
you
say
wouldn't bring this forward to
She's not gonna
police,
say.
these critical details, when your daughter is missing. I mean, that is a big question.
It's a big question, and Mom's on a lot of soul searching right now. A lot of soul searching, but I've been involved in many of these cases like this. And I thank God it was shared with me so that we can help law enforcement increase and intensify now their time for a manhunt. No longer personal interest. This man needs to be captured. He needs to be arrested.
Has he tried to contact Mom?
No, not at all.
When was the last
And
time
he
they
won't-
had contact?
And he won't respond to any of her text messages. He won't respond to any. She's been trying to contact him for days with zero response.
When was their last contact with each other?
Last week, right when she came home, and shortly after she got back to the city, is when he stopped communicating and contacting with the mother.
And Brittany, when's the last time you spoke to Maleah? When's the last time you talked to your little girl? I mean, you
Listen,
left her?
listen. Mom is not perfect. She's made some mistakes. But Mom needs to share this vital information that I'll share with you with law enforcement. We believe it's time for a manhunt for the stepfather. Okay? All right.
So when do you plan on sharing these details directly
Today.
with police?
Let's check that out again, frame by frame. And that's when I started looking deeper into the narrative the public was feeding into without knowing the actual sources of the information. For example, who said Derion was sending racy texts to a man? We never heard Brittany say that. Quanell did. Even Brittany's sister, Natasha, said they discussed it when Brittany was in Massachusetts for their family's funeral, the father's funeral, sorry. And Natasha told Tanika Nikki's News and More that Brittany said he was texting another woman, not a man. Check it out.
What you were saying.
What was I saying?
We were talking about, well, you said that you had asked her point blank, like, what was going on. You know what I mean? Maybe you had noticed
why
something.
She was acting funny, yeah. I had asked her why she was acting funny, and she had originally told stories about Derion cheating on her.
Okay.
And she found text messages of Derion texting some other female.
Female.
Back and forth while she was up there the first time with me and my dad. So she was mad because, well, this is what she was telling me. She was mad because he was texting some other female and she wanted to give him back the engagement ring, but she didn't want to give him back the engagement ring right now because it wouldn't be smart for her right now because he's basically the breadwinner in this situation.
Okay, so she did mention Derion to you on that visit, to come, you know,
Yes,
bury your father.
I'm the person that originally, Quanell called me, and I told him that he needed to ask her about that. And however, I stopped talking to my sister the day she had that interview with Quanell. Because everything that she told me, when she told me it was a female, not a guy, I'm just like listening to the story because, you know, I want to be there for my sister, but stuff just ain't adding up to me.
Right.
So I'm the person that originally told Quanell, look, ask her about her and Derion having an argument and text messages going back and forth about them breaking up about some girl texting them back and forth. After that, the interview came out.
Wow.
And whatever happened, and I am just livid about that because I didn't know none of this was happening to my nieces and nephews.
Do you believe that is true? That's the thing. Do you believe that since she changed the story from female to male and also wasn't completely transparent in that interview, obviously, do you believe all the things she said about the alleged abuse in regards to him via Maleah?
That's not the type of person she told me he was.
Now let's just think about that for a second. Brittany told her sister he was texting another woman. The sister told Quanell it was another woman. By the time it makes it to the media, Quanell is saying it was a man. He made that up. Literally. He's a liar. Another example. Who said Derion had been taking the child out of daycare without mom knowing? That was also Quanell. And when you think about it, that literally makes no sense. Quanell made that up to infuriate the public about seeing her walking behind Derion in that video on the last day she was ever seen alive. That child was skipping. She was not being lured back home for a daily dose of sexual assault. Plus, we've all been able to put two and two together to determine that Brittany was in that apartment when Derion and Maleah came back that morning. She knew her child was in that house. Example 3. Who said the mom is the one that did the laundry? That was also Quanell. And the bottom line is, based on multiple witnesses and accounts, Derion did all of the housework and cared for the kids much more than Brittany did. Pushing the narrative that Derion was not Maleah's primary caregiver is how Quanell X made us believe this sweet girl was being touched by this man. But there's no evidence that Brittany ever told Quanell that. It was another lie he made up to turn us all against Derion. But the sad thing is, Mr. X knew, even back then, that Brittany is much more involved than he tried to get us to believe.
Hey,
I want to start with, who are you?
well, my name is Joe Vence, Senior. I'm Derion Vence's father. You know, he's been taking care of her since she was 1 year old.
Right.
And he's like been the sole provider. Like that girl Brittany, like she, you know what I'm saying? She ain't no type of mother. Like he's been the one taking care of the kids the whole time.
Wow.
Like he washes, he does the, you know what I'm saying? He cleans, he cooks. He's the one who works and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And that's just 3 of the many lies this man made up about Derion, Brittany, and Maleah. So the question is, why did Quanell X make up so many lies? Well, at first, I thought, like everyone else who are considered outsiders to the Houston community, I had faith in this man. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, even though I knew he was lying. I assumed that he made up so many outlandish lies, including the gay porn accusation, to make Derion Vence talk. What man would allow nonsense to be spread about him when it's not true? That's why Derion has been known to say he hates how he's being portrayed in the media. There's no doubt in my mind that as a man, Quanell knew what would make this man snap verbally and feel the need to defend himself. He also knew the things he said in press conferences made Brittany look like a sorry excuse for a parent. I believe he hoped this would make her talk one day out of pure guilt. However, all she did was publicly speak out about how this man made up lie after lie after lie that she claims she did not tell him. Quanell X has been lying and scamming for years. Now let's backtrack to the January 2013 case of Royce Eckley. She came to Quanell X for help after seeing him on TV many times. Marcus Eckley, her 37-year-old son, had transitioned on January 4th in Leonville, Louisiana. Authorities said it was taking his own life, but the distraught mother didn't believe it. Quanell told Royce Eckley he would work on the case for no less than $4,500, making it very clear it may cost even more. He assured her, saying, "I want to say this, whatever answers you don't have now, I will get those answers for you." With the help of family, friends, and former co-workers, Royce raised $1,400 for the retainer. She met Quanell in a Denny's parking lot, hopped into his car, and handed him the retainer in cash. Quanell gave Royce a pink contract as a retainer agreement, which she says contained an enormous amount of small print. And the very first paragraph read, "This agreement is confidential and may not be shared with a third party without written consent." According to Royce, he eventually stopped answering her emails, calls, and texts. And the last time there was any communication between the two was that July. However, the Houston activist told the press that he personally went to Louisiana himself on 2 occasions. He claims he spoke with a local law enforcement officer, who he refused to name, and spoke at length with the district attorney. Yet, St. Landry Parish District Attorney Earl Taylor said different. Taylor said that neither he or his first assistant had ever spoken to Quanell X. So how is this related to the Maleah Davis case? Well, here's how the cases start to sound very similar to me. Quanell claims that during his investigation of the Marcus Eckley case, including the 2 visits to Louisiana, he encountered multiple obstacles. He went on to accuse Royce of being one of those obstacles. Mr. X claimed the grieving mother repeatedly attacked Astria Eckley, her son's wife, on social media, suggesting that she had something to do with his demise. There are 2 problems here. Royce says that is a bold-faced lie, quote unquote. Number 2, Astria herself says her mother-in-law never attacked her on social media. That means Quanell X literally lied to save face for taking his grieving mother's money and doing absolutely nothing to help her. Now, I know we're all peed off at Brittany Bowens. At this point, there are very few that think she's innocent in this, if any. But there's something about the lies Quanell told on Royce Eckley that helped validate the fact that Brittany says he lied on her too. Personally, I believe them both.
We have breaking news, new developments in the Maleah Davis case. Ivory Hecker is live where community activist Quanell X just finished speaking. Good afternoon, Ivory.
Good afternoon, Jose. Yeah, Quanell X met privately with detectives here in a strip mall parking lot near NRG Stadium. In fact, the detectives are still behind me in that silver car going over the details of what Quanell says Derion Vence confessed to him. Now, Quanell says Vence told him Maleah is dead and what happened was an accident. He says he drove to Arkansas to dump Maleah's body. Quanell says Vence told him he dumped her in a ditch off of a roadside. He says he didn't get into the timeline of when she died and when she was dumped. Now, Quanell wouldn't say either where in Arkansas Derion dumped Maleah, but he says Derion did give very specific details about that location. Now, Quanell says he doesn't know why Derion chose Arkansas, but take a listen to some of what Quanell said.
One thing he wanted to make clear to me was what happened to Maleah was an accident. He says it was an accident. And he confessed to me where he dumped her body. And so Texas EquuSearch will be coordinating those efforts to find Maleah's remains. Detectives now have the information that they need.
And Tim Miller from Texas EquuSearch was also in that private meeting in the car behind me with detectives. Tim Miller tells me that he has got his team together. They're going to take a private flight to Arkansas today to begin searching there for Maleah's body. Both Tim and Quanell feel confident
Trust me,
that
they'd already
Derion's
found
story
her
is
long
true
before then.
and that this is indeed
This is a
where
good
Maleah
game,
is
and more
located.
more
Now, I
lies.
talked to Derion Vence's attorney today, his new court-appointed attorney. He is not happy about this. He says that Quanell did not have permission to meet with Derion, and he's trying to figure out how Quanell got in during non-visitation hours. And he's also asking the sheriff's office to prevent Quanell from meeting with Derion Vence again. For now, we're live in Houston. Ivory Hecker, Fox 26 News.
So here's my question. Do you really believe Quanell got Derion to confess? Okay, let's just discuss this. So on May 30th, 2019, Quanell cut all ties with Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens. He claims she told him too many lies. However, it's more than obvious that many of the lies we heard on TV, he made up himself. Then on May 31st, QX claims he visited Derion in the county jail on a day when visits are not allowed unless you're an attorney. So the consensus is that he misrepresented himself to get inside the jail, or he has some type of inside connection. The next thing we knew, Mr. X was claiming Derion told him what happened to Maleah, exactly how she transitioned, and where to find her remains, which were on the side of an Arkansas highway. But in my opinion, there are many issues with this. So let me give you my top 4. Number 1, locals in Arkansas area insist they saw official people doing searches in the area where baby girl was found days before Quanell ever visited the jail. Think about that. Why were they doing searches in that area if they weren't already looking for Maleah? We haven't heard of anything else in the news about anybody else being missing and dumped in that area, so that doesn't make much sense. Number 2, men working on the landscape in the area ran over the trash bag we supposedly saw Derion carry her out of the apartment in during the surveillance video with a lawnmower. I repeat, the men working on the landscape were using a lawnmower to cut the grass and accidentally ran over the bag that contained Maleah. Now, common sense tells me that somebody among all of these people noticed her remains being cut up and thrown all over the place long before Quanell X told them where to look, because they'd already ran over the body. Number 3, Quanell X claims his daughter, now this is the hilarious one, this is the one that really makes me laugh. Quanell claims his daughter called him and told him where to find the remains. She says she saw it all in a dream. Now here's the question, Mr. X. Was it her dream or Derion's confession that led you to Maleah? You can't have it both ways, okay? Number 4, an inmate at the county jail where Derion is being housed says Derion confessed to him days before Quanell supposedly visited him at the facility. This inmate says he told authorities what Derion told him about Maleah. So the authorities knew where to find Maleah days before Derion supposedly confessed to Quanell X. It's all a bunch of crap. It's all a bunch of crap. Now, if you've observed all of this information and you still believe in Quanell X, prayers up to you. I have this here swampland I've been trying to dump off for a few years now too. So hit me up when you get a chance. Straight up, this man is trash. He's a scam artist and he's scum. Mr. X did not do anything whatsoever to help the Maleah Davis case except tell lie after lie after lie. The Houston Police Department deserves the credit for finding Maleah, as well as the people in Arkansas, not Quanell Davis. The Houston Police Department deserves the credit for finding Maleah, not Quanell X. I believe he had an inside connect within the Houston Police Department who told him about the jailhouse confession they'd heard about from the inmate. This source told QX everything the department knew about the confession, including where to find her remains. Then he ran with the information like he was able to get it out of Derion man to man, as he stated. By the time we saw that press conference where QX told us about the confession, the police in Arkansas had already found her. And this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how disgusted I am by this man. Many of you probably don't know this, but years ago, Quanell X advocated for 18 males who had repeatedly RAPED an 11-year-old girl over a 3-month period. He advocated for these men because they were black and the girl was Hispanic. To me, he's a sick, disgusting man, and he had no business representing 4-year-old Maleah. The bottom line is, Quanell X did nothing. And if you want to know more about how disgusting he really is, stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, because I have another video coming out about Quanell X really soon, and I will break down the story of him advocating for the 18 disgusting pigs who hurt the 11-year-old little girl. Thanks for watching. Please share this video.